What is up, you guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Call Me Thursday podcast. I am here alone and solo because it's another bonus episode week. So it's your girl, Sav, and I'm really excited for today's episode. I'm honestly really excited about so much that's going on in life right now because I, once again, as you guys can see, am in another setting that I was as of last Thursday. But I'm in Birmingham at my parents' house because today, as of the day that we're recording, I am leaving for Sarah's bachelorette trip, which is so exciting. And I know that you guys have been listening to me harp on how excited I've been to be on a plane by myself because I don't think I've flown alone since our son was born roughly 15 months ago. And let me tell you, it was everything that I thought that it was going to be. I got so much work done. I got so much reading done, and it was such a treat. So I had a solid 12-hour travel day yesterday because so if you guys listened to last week's episode, was in Charlotte visiting my dad and stepmom, seeing some old friends, and went from Charlotte to Denver, mainly because my parents had helped us with some of their flights, with their points. And so we were flying Delta from Charlotte to Denver. So that's like a solid 7-8 hour travel time. And then I stayed at the airport and went straight to Birmingham. So I had another 2 flights from there. So had a long day yesterday. I don't know how I'm functioning. I don't know how I look like a normal human. But here we are. We did it. And I'm so excited to be at the beach. And I'm so excited to celebrate our other half of the podcast because 1 month from today, I'm recording this on September 5th. 1 month from today, Sarah's going to be a bride. So give her some love today if you think about her, and just let her know how excited you guys are because I know that we are all so excited to see Sarah be a wifey in just a month's time. So all that to say, I'm in Birmingham, a new setting, and today I am recording my solo episode, and I've been thinking about what I want to make today's episode about, and I feel like the thing that consumes me most in my day-to-day these days is how to keep my toddler entertained. So as you guys know, I have a 15-month-old named Calvin. He is joy of my life, apple of my eye, most precious little boy. But he is busy. He is most definitely busy, and he only stays occupied with things for a very short period of time before it's not even like he's been, if any of you guys are parents, you probably know, like around the year, maybe a few months prior to a year age range, he would only stay entertained with something for like a few minutes. And then he would get frustrated and want help or like want something else to do. But I think now he just wants to be into everything. So it's more so like framing our home and framing our days to be able to like set him up to get into whatever he wants to get into, but in a safe way, obviously. So what I want to talk about today is how I keep my toddler happy throughout the day, because as you guys know, I quit my job back in March and have been essentially just like staying at home with Calvin, doing a little bit of freelance and contract work on the side. And we have good days and bad days, like I think I'm starting to realize that I love to work and I am looking forward to going back to work relatively soon. But right now I really am soaking up all the time that I can get with him. And as he's just growing and changing so much, it's been so much fun to see him learn and change and grow and do all the things that babies do. So this one really is for the moms of littles. And I especially want to make this episode for people who maybe don't really naturally gravitate towards kids or babies, because that was definitely me. Like I did not grow up being the girl who was always wanting to hang out with the kids or like serving kids church or like baby. Like I don't think I babysat for the first time until I was like 20 years old, which is crazy to say out loud. And I had no idea what I was doing. I don't know why that family trusted me with their 1-year-old at the time. But just did not grow up around kids. I essentially grew up an only child. My half sister lived with my dad most of my childhood, and I lived with my mom. So I literally knew nothing about kids and still kind of continue to know nothing about kids other than what I learned in books that I read and on TikTok. So just let this be an encouragement to you if you're a parent that's kind of in that space and you're like, okay, I'm at home with my kids a lot, but I don't know how to keep them happy throughout the day. And I keep using the terms keep them happy because I try personally to not frame it as keeping them entertained, if that makes sense, or like keeping them busy, because when I do that, I'm like setting myself up for, if he doesn't enjoy what I give him to do, then I'm getting interrupted with the things that I want to be doing while he's doing these other things. And so it just helps me to not get in that mindset and be a little bit more flexible with him. And it's like, okay, I'm just trying to keep you happy and keep you stimulated throughout the day, keep you excited about what you're playing with and learning. And if you don't like what you're doing, then that's fine and we'll find something else. But these are all screen free too. So that's something that Christian and I are really trying to be diligent about, is just keeping screen time to an absolute minimum. We still watch a few episodes of Bluey each day. I'm sure that we're going to get into other shows eventually. When we were on the plane ride yesterday, we watched endless amounts of Bluey. So things like that, it's like we try to be flexible. When he's sick, when he's teething, like obviously there's a little bit of flexibility there. But for the most part, we're trying to keep screens to a bare minimum. So these are all activities that you can do without screens. But to give the context, like for time, so Calvin just turned 15 months old. He usually wakes up between 6 and 7 a.m., has a nap between like 12 and 3. So that can be like usually a 2 to 3 hour nap, and then goes down between 7 and 8 for bedtime. So it's usually that first stretch in the morning from like 6:30 to 12 that's the hardest for me, because Christian is working, I'm with him on my own, and it's just a good 6 hour roughly stretch of time where I'm like, okay, well, what are we going to do for the day? We have talked about this a good bit, but we live further from the city than we used to. So there's a lot more activities and whatnot in Denver, but we live about 25 miles north of Denver now. And he is not in an era of life of loving car time. And so we try to keep everything that we do within like 3 to 4 mile radiuses of our home. And usually it works out pretty well. So I'm categorizing these as activities that he can do on his own, and then the ones that I have to help him with a little bit more. So I'm going to start with the things that I let him do that he also kind of needs my help with. So the first one is books. Calvin loves books, which makes my book loving heart so happy, as you guys probably know, and the library. So not Christian, Calvin used to not care at all about books. But then, oh my gosh, sorry, I have a hair and it's bothering me. Okay. No, it's still on me. Ugh. Nah, whatever. So Calvin used to not care an ounce about books, and then some of our dearest friends, shout out to William and Amanda, got him this book called Trashy Town. And when I tell you that I could read you the book Trashy Town right now without looking at the book, I'm not kidding. I've read that book so many freaking times now, but I'm so grateful for it because that book truly sparked his love for reading. And now like we have a stack of probably 10 books in our living room that he just brings us one after another. He loves Green Eggs and Ham. He loves Little Blue Truck. He loves any books that have animals in it where he can like flip through and point to an animal and make the noise that it makes. And it's just the cutest thing. And it's just a great way to spark learning for him. So books is a big one. We're always reading in the morning. We're always reading before nap time. And because he started to love books, we've started to take him to our local library. And I feel like I've heard a lot of moms talking about this recently, but libraries are so stinking underrated. Like there is one in probably most little towns, major cities that's completely free. You can get a library card. And I don't even have a library card myself, I don't think, but we just go and they have a ton of little like spaces for kids with games and activities and obviously a ton of books for them to look through. So we'll go usually mid-morning and he'll spend an hour just like running around, getting into stuff, playing with other kids. And since we're not using any kind of childcare right now, it's just a good way for him to get around other kids and interact with other kiddos a little bit more than he normally would. So shout out to the Erie Public Library. We love you and we don't know what we would do without you. Next one is the playground. This is, I'm saying all this stuff out loud. I'm like, this is so not revelatory at all. But I feel like as a mom, I have days where I get so stuck where I'm like, I am so bored. He is so bored. What are we going to do with ourselves? So if you just need to get yourself out of a rut, I hope this is helping you. But one thing that we do almost every day, especially now that it's warm outside, which this could potentially change as it starts to get colder in Colorado. But right now we go to the playground almost every single day. And it's nice because our playgrounds are like we have one that's around the corner from our house, but we probably have like 6 or 7 playgrounds in walking distance from our house. And so we'll go on like a long walk because he loves his stroller. So we'll go on a long walk to the park, let him play around for a little bit and then walk back. So it gives me good exercise. I can pop in a podcast and listen to something that I enjoy while we're walking and even sometimes while we're playing. But obviously have to help him with that a good bit because he is not at the capability of like going up and down the slide by himself, being pushed on, like obviously has to be pushed on a swing, things like that. But he just has a blast. And I feel like it's so good for kids to spend as much time outside as possible. So that usually takes up a good like hour and a half of our morning if we go to the playground. And he has so much fun. And especially if there's other kids there, he literally has the time of his life. So next one, and this is one of my favorites, is cooking and snacking while we're cooking. So especially when I'm home alone with Calvin, I tend to just pull him. We have this little toddler helper tower that I will link in the show notes for you guys. It's one of the best things we've ever bought. And I think that he's going to enjoy it even more as he's getting older. But I'll pull our little helper tower up beside the counter as I'm cooking and just show him like how I'm chopping. I let him pour things into bowls for me. And obviously this takes more time. Obviously it can't be done on a time crunch. But I think he just likes to feel included. And kids, especially toddlers, love to feel like they're helping you, which is so precious and special. And so have started to let him help me cook a little bit. And obviously I'm like kind of giving him snacks as we go. Like if I'm cooking something with cheese, he's eating cheese as we go. And like what kid isn't happy while they're eating a block of cheese? You know, not my kid. He loves cheese. So yeah, letting him help me while we're cooking. And just like I think it helps slow me down a lot, which is obviously always needed. So those are the things that we do. Obviously there's more, but those are the things that we do that I have to help him with a little bit more. Now the independent play things, I know this is probably what most of the moms are like, can you please get to the things that he can do on his own so I can take a breather? So here we are. Here's 3 things that we do for independent play. Number 1 is just play outside. And that sounds so simple and not revelatory, but we spend probably 30% of our day with me sitting on our couch outside. And I have this it's like the ugliest, least aesthetic thing I have ever seen in my life. But I have this like colorful Buc-ee's blanket that I put. It's like an outdoor blanket that I put on the patio. I have this giant pink blow up $10 pool from Target. And he plays in the blow up pool with his toys. And it's not even like him in a swimsuit. He just like throws his toys in the pool. We'll get rocks and throw them in the pool. And he'll do that for like a half hour and doesn't care at all for my help. We have like a little Tykes mini basketball goal. I'll bring that outside. He'll play basketball. I am banking on my son being an NBA star with how much he loves basketball. So there's that. But we just spend a lot of time outside and it's so good for kids. It's so good for their microbiome. And he's just never fussy when we're outside. So that is one thing that we do. Another thing back in the kitchen is just playing with like kitchen tools and plastic Tupperware in the kitchen. Obviously, I have to keep him out of any kind of cabinets that have glass in them. But if I open a cabinet for him and just let him rummage and run rampant, he is the happiest he's ever been. So just letting him rummage around in the kitchen, playing with Tupperware, putting things inside of things. I don't know why kids love that as much as they do, but they do. And then even like if I really need him to stay busy, with the expectation, knowing that I'm going into a mess, I'll put like a giant mixing bowl with rolled oats in it. And I'll give him like a little measuring cup and he'll go rampant and get rolled oats literally everywhere. But I just vacuum them up and it's fine. And he loves it. And then our dog is snacking on the oats and he's probably snacking on the oats, which is, I don't know if that's healthy or safe or not, but that's the reality. And sometimes as a mom, I've embraced this with kitchen stuff. I've embraced this with my bathroom cabinets. You just let another mess happen so you can get other stuff done, even though you know you're going to have to clean up a mess. And that's just motherhood. So kitchen tools, plastic Tupperware in the kitchen, A1 little. I'm like, I don't know why we buy you toys, son. But to piggyback on that, and the last thing that we do is having like a little toy box and doing a toy rotation. So I'll usually have a little basket of some sort of toys that he'll rummage through for like 10, 15 minutes at a time. I would say with toys, he doesn't stay as entertained as he used to. But we will rotate his toys every few weeks so that we're not constantly buying new stuff. But he's got enough toys that people have gotten him from his registry and for his birthday and whatnot that Christian and I rarely buy this kid toys. And he always feels like he has something new to play with because we're rotating it every few weeks and he's not seeing the same toys, but every like 6 months or so. And so that's dramatic. Every like probably month or two. So yeah, I think playing outside, doing the kitchen tools, getting like some sort of food that is safe for them to eat, I think. And just like something that they can use their hands, learn textures, things like that. he just has a blast. And I'm so amazed by how much he's growing and how independent he's becoming as a little toddler. It's so cool to watch. So I hope that this was helpful for any moms or dads out there who are, or even like nannies or people who are taking care of kids. Like if you are just in a rut with what to do with your kids, I hope this was helpful for you. Like I said, it probably wasn't that revelatory because these things are pretty basic, but if you're in a rut, I hope it was helpful. So shout out to the moms, shout out to the stay-at-home parents. You guys are superheroes. And I don't know how you do it and how you do it with multiple kids. I still get in this mindset sometimes where I'm like, how the heck would I have two of you? Crazy. So anyways, guys, well, I'm going to wrap this up and get you along on your day. But I am headed to Sarah's batch trip in a matter of hours. So that's what I'm excited about. And I hope that you guys are going to have the best week of your life. So thank you for listening to another episode of the Call Me Thursday podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Instagram at Call Me Thursday podcast. And be sure to hit the follow button wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. And as always, leave a 5-star review and let us know why you're loving the pod. So we'll call you Thursday.